to use this? No, it's okay. I guess we're a small audience and probably we'll make it a little more interactive rather than getting into a real presentation mode. So feel free to interject me in case you would want some inputs into how we went about it, any practical issues which you connect with. Probably we can have a discussion on that, so that let's see if we can add value in this next 20-30 minutes. Just a brief, I guess this might not be required, I'll just rush through it. We are India's largest paint company and we've been market leaders for the last 50 odd years now. We've been largely there because of the lot of innovative stuff which we do. We're there in around 17 countries, largely developing economies. Getting straight into the Asian Paints IT, we work very closely with business. We are a team of around 80 people, which looks a lot of stuff gets done in-house. That's why we are that big. 80 includes the people who manage the infrastructure as well. We work closely with IT vendors. We've got very close relationship with SAP, IBM. We work closely with the labs here. Vasant is here. We've done a lot of co-innovation projects with him as well. A lot of initiatives which we do are largely IT-led, which tries to bring about IT transformation. Like we've done an entire contact center which has completely changed the model in which we take orders. We've centralized the entire order taking. It was done on SAP technology. Mobility is another such initiative. Our vision is to be among the top 5 decorative companies in the world, and we are nearly there. We are somewhere around number 4 today. Purely in the coatings business. What are the strategic imperatives of this vision? We are saying in order to get there, we need to manage collaboration within the enterprise and the extended enterprise. Here, extended enterprise would be our dealers, our contractors. On the other side, we would have the suppliers, the OPCs. Managing innovation while adding value to the customer is something which we constantly pursue. Customer centricity is an initiative which has been on for the last 36 months in a very concentrated effort, wherein we're trying to run a lot of programs which involve, wherein the entire organization is getting aligned to the customer needs. So out of the strategic imperatives which I just showed, what are the technology imperatives? So in order to be there, a couple of years back, we decided to take a relook at what sort of investments we need to make from the technology end. And what we realized is, in order to be there, we need to really invest in these technologies. And while there's work which is happening in all these areas, I thought since the session which we're talking about today is mobility, from here on I'll be speaking largely on mobility. Before we get into that, what is the history of mobility in Asian Paints? We are pretty, as we stand today, we are pretty mature on the curve when it comes to mobility, because we started it probably a decade back when SMS was a very innovative thing. We took a Nokia phone and converted it to a modem and attached it, developed a software which pulled stuff from SAP and broadcast sales updates to our managers. So that was the first app which we had done a decade back. Post that, we went on aggressively pushing mail on devices. In 2006, we had a significant section of our managers on mail, on mobile devices. We launched our first version of Salesforce automation in 2007-8, wherein we gave HP iPad devices, developed a small Windows mobile-based app which was able to talk to the SAP backend. That had limited success because internet penetrations were not very great at that point of time, and managing offline data in a disconnected world was a big challenge then. So we had a lot of learnings in that initiative. Our website went mobile in 2010. We also did an app for our warehouses, wherein warehouse we did a small ABAP program which could run on a Windows Mobile 5 ruggedized handheld, which would enable picking in the warehouse and which directly talked to the SAP system. We also, last year we did a few HTML5 based apps wherein approvals could happen on the move. So we've been there, we've got a significant amount of learnings there. That's why the initiative which I'm talking about right now, we've been able to do it well because we have incorporated a lot of those learnings there. What is fueling mobile apps? We see that paint market is pretty competitive. If you look at the number of ads which keep coming in, you can see there's so much of there's a rush to capture the consumer mindshare there. So we see the marketing pretty competitive there, and our ability to respond to our customers really is a big differentiator. And our ability to do those split-second decisions when you're on the field, like as simple as getting an approval on a pricing request, or sending a complaint back to the hierarchy which resolves the complaint. Doing that in time really matters to our business, because that leads to a lot of customer satisfaction. We see a lot of we see mobile devices getting increasingly affordable. In fact, the type of devices which our employees carry, we see pretty steep upgradation happening there in terms of the quality of devices and the stuff you can do on these devices. We see enterprise apps are still not too user friendly. If you look at the screens which today a lot of our users are working with, you can do a lot. So we felt that mobility is a great way in terms of building those, engineering those user interfaces which can really improve adoption of backend enterprise applications. We have a young force. This is cliche, but yeah, Asian Paints has a pretty young workforce which is used to the Facebooks of the world. So designing apps which are very akin to those type of interfaces, and in the manner in which they would have worked on those social apps, really helps us in driving a lot of these enterprise applications. So with this as a background, we said mobility is going to be a huge space for us. It's sort of going to change the way in which computing is going to happen within the organization, outside the organization, and with our partners. We said let's first have a vision for mobility. Let's have something in place which we all are working towards. So after a lot of deliberation, we said let's put a vision which states that let's provide a connected enterprise to our employees, customers, partners and suppliers, thereby adding value to the processes. So we said it is not about having a device or putting up a technology, it's more about people and experiences. So that is something which we thought we need to work towards. So with this vision, we said we went about evaluating a mobile stack rather than doing pointed investments by doing pointed applications, which we have been doing till date. We said let's invest in an infrastructure which probably would help us to roll out apps in a way a business would be happy with. So we evaluated a couple of MIPS, it's mobile enterprise application platforms. SUP was one of that, and after evaluation of close to 1.5 months, we did a few pilots with multiple vendors. We decided that we should be investing in Sybase's Unwired platform. So along with that, we also made an investment in SAP's Afaria, which is a mobile device management software, because security is very important, because these devices are going to access a lot of stuff through the internet, and a lot of these devices which are going to access information would be not company owned devices. So we also said we are going to go with the BYOD policy, bring your own device policy. So security was pretty important consideration. That's why we made the strategic investment in Afaria. And we also did an investment in Gateway. This is another component of SAP which allows you to consume SAP information from social apps, from apps on the internet where consumer, for example, if a consumer wants to check out a dealer who's in the vicinity of his PIN code, that dealer locator needs to come from, the dealer details need to come from SAP system. So this Gateway is a technology which allows you to consume SAP information in RESTful services. So it's pretty easy to do that. So these three technologies went about building our mobile infrastructure. So I'll quickly touch upon a case study, the one which also got played in the video today, what it was about. So to set the business context, we have the way we do business is in the retail decorative business. We have around 40,000 dealers. These are the dealers whom you typically would be walking into, whose shops you would be walking into whenever you need to buy paint. So we have 40,000 of them, and they get serviced by around 600 sales officers. These sales, our relationship with these dealers is largely transactional, because the dealer would be placing an order on Asian Paints sales office, and the material would get dispatched to that particular dealer counter. So the dealer would have a lot of informational needs in the sense you would want to know whether the material has left the godown, what is the status of the accounts at that point of time, He would also want to know if there are any schemes which are running at that point of time. So there are a lot of transactional needs which the dealer would have. Also, there would be a lot of other informational needs which typically related to what products are getting launched. Are there any schemes which he needs to be aware of? The sales officer is a single point of contact for the dealer. So there will be 600 sales officers, I said. So each sales officer talks to around 50 to 60 dealers. That's a territory which he manages. The sales officer needs to ensure that products and services get delivered to the dealer to the satisfaction of the dealer. And his job is largely to build these relationships with the dealer, ensure that he keeps earning the loyalty of the dealer. But what was seen largely was because there was so much of an informational need from the dealer end, he used to only be running behind, getting him the right reports, ensuring taking his complaint, following up for the complaints at the back end. So he had a lot of stuff which, and very little time was left to actually explain a scheme to him or build a relationship with the dealer, which was the core part of the sales officer's job. So that's what we said, we need to have a model which will allow us to scale, because the business also was growing. We wanted to add more dealers to the same sales guy, and he would always come back and say, I don't have the time to manage so many dealers. So we said we'll need to automate a lot of his tasks on the field, and that's why we said we need to put in a Salesforce automation app for the sales officer. The idea was to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the sales officer. We wanted to empower him with information so that he could operate independently. So the idea was he could take his own decisions in the field rather than depending upon a backend system which was furnishing him data. Otherwise, he would have to carry a lot of reports in his bag, and every time he had to go and take a printout at the branch, and the traveling distances in metro and all was really killing. The other part of it is we also, while his bosses, that is the people whom you report, were already connected, they had a certain level of expectation in terms of response time. So we thought that this piece was, the feet on street was not connected, and hence that latency was always there in terms of information getting passed on to the backend. Stuff like market intelligence, computer activity, it took us time for it to come back to the backend in a form where people could react to. So with that we said let's put an objective for the SFA. So we said let's info empower to improve the effectiveness of the sales officer who operates largely on the field. Enable him to operate independently, like carrying his office along with him. We looked at ways of eliminating the need of a sales officer to come to a branch office for any of his activities. We said if everything can be done through a device, let's explore that. And then the underlying goal of all this was to ensure that his interaction quality with the dealer improves significantly, and the dealer is really happy about it. So before, so we decided we need to have an app which should probably run on a device decision. We said we'll do it later. Let's see what is that information which is required to make him effective in the market. So it analyzes a typical day of a sales officer as he moves in the market. So when he gets leaves for in the morning, before he moves into the field, he needs to have information of all his dealers on which are the dealers he needs to meet for the day. Now he would take that decision basis. Which of the dealers would probably have an outstanding, who have not been paying on time, or is there a scheme which is launched for a certain set of dealers. So he needs to plan his visit based on that information. So we need to provide him that information. So before, as is in the market, before he enters into a particular dealer counter, he needs to ensure that all complaints related to that particular dealer have been taken care of. He needs to ensure that if the dealer has put in a request for a credit note, whether that has got approved, because that is the first thing the dealer is going to ask. So he needs to have that information just before he enters the dealer counter. When he's at the dealer counter is typically going to ask him what is the stock status situation in the branch, can you take my order now, all the online stuff he needs to be ready with. And then when he finishes the dealer visit, he needs to file a dealer visit report. He also needs to record any complaint which the dealer would have, so that it gets broadcasted in the back-end system. And when he's on the field, there will be other informational needs which he would need. Like he would need to capture a lot of market intelligence. He would need to put in a lot of stuff related to what competitors are doing. If he sees a building coming up, it's a potential site for some other business in terms of institutional sales. So he needs to put all that stuff at one place. So we did a 360-degree view of the typical information set which a sales officer operates in the field. And once we had that in place, then we said this is what we need to build in an SAP app. So we'll build a sales dashboard which shows product sales, volume sales, all sales related information. We also had a place where he could put in stuff related to complaints which the dealer had. We could typically call it the dealer health card. So whenever the dealer complains that the complaint could be that material came in damaged condition, or I'm not getting serviced well, so that becomes a health card entry for us. So once he puts it up there, it triggers a workflow from there, and the concerned guy gets alerted. Like if the accounting information is not right, it goes to the commercials guy, and commercial guy will need to close it, and he needs to get back that feedback so that he can convey it to the dealer, because he is a single point of contact for the dealer. We also, there was a need felt for initiating a lot of these workflows which typically were happening on wherein the sales guy had to go to the branch, and then he had to open the workflow application wherein he had to initiate a lot of workflows like leakage, breakage workflows, material return workflows. There were product complaints related workflows. So those were taking time. We thought let's build that in the app itself. When at the dealer counter, I said there would be a lot of online stuff. So querying directly into SAP for online stocks, order status, online dispatch status, invoice info, because the dealer typically would want to know whether whatever he had ordered for was everything getting billed. So he wanted to know that at the counter itself. So this was the information set which we packaged in the app. For the tech guys, this is the architecture which we adopted. So here we have SUP which has a relay server which tries to expose the SUP artifacts to the net, so it's a secure way of doing it. We also have a gateway component here which allows us to connect our consumer apps on the net. We have a BPM layer which allows us to orchestrate the workflows, and these workflows can get consumed on the mobile SUP layer here. We have Afaria which helps us to manage the devices. So this has got integrated with the Google and App Cloud. So anything you want to deploy, if you want a certain level of security, Apple doesn't allow you to directly deploy apps, so you need to actually have a certificate exchange with Apple and Google Cloud here. We also integrated with the mail servers, SMS gateway, and ADS here. So this is an overall architecture. We can get into details. We can have an offline session on this. So what is the highlights of this architecture? All offline features to be built only on native SUP. So the idea behind investing in SUP was to build these offline features. Because a lot of places where our sales guys move are not connected, so they need to for over extended periods of time they might not get connected. So but they still need to work in terms of putting in their daily visit reports. They need to put in the dealer complaints. So it needs to be there, rather than him waiting for connectivity and then punching everything online. It's probably a huge backlog. We used for the online features, we did native SU apps, which typically having those high throughput calls, we said we'll use native SU app. We used a hybrid container approach with this HTML5 based apps, wherever we felt that it was very lightweight based transactions which needed to be online, which like workflow approvals, pricing approvals. We thought we'll do it through those hybrid container apps, and gateway for web apps wherein real-time access for consumers is required. All workflows got modeled on BPM and presented through the SUP layer. All application deployment, configuration, and device provisioning was done through Afaria. So this, so any device before getting handed over to any sales officer had to get registered with Afaria, and that device gets locked to a particular territory. So tomorrow, even if the sales guy loses his device, we can over the air go and deactivate the device. So that information which is residing is no longer available to anybody who gets the device. So that sort of feature got enabled. We also can now. Because a lot of features keep changing on the mobile app, we can start doing remote deployment. So any new feature in the app can get remotely deployed through the Afaria remote dispatch manager. SUP landscape is we've also gone in for the landscape does support clustered architecture, which is getting tried now, wherein in case one cluster is down or in case the load increases, the load balancing architecture really helps us in managing those loads. when it came to device evaluation, we initially thought of a laptop, but then laptop we did not go that way because we thought it was more of a conversation killer, and to open a laptop in front of a dealer it takes time to boot up, and so it was not really it did not really fly through with the sales guys. So then we had to decide whether we needed a 10-inch device or a 7-inch device. So people generally felt 7-inch was easy to hold and in one hand and transact, and some people found it easy to also put it in their pockets. When it came to choice of OS, we went for Android because a lot of devices today are on Android platform, and the variety which we got there was pretty good. iPads were a little too costly, and even developing the skills for developing apps on iPad, we felt that were not too great. So Android was selected as a preferred OS because it was the flexibility and the range of devices and the value it offered. We eventually decided to buy Samsung's 7-inch tablets. On the network side, what we did was, since we tied up with Vodafone and we formed a closed user group, so we bought 600 SIMs from them, which could only talk to our data center in Bombay. So the guys who are using the tablets today can only access our application. They can't do anything else. They can't go to the marketplace and download, because we wanted to prevent that, because then you would download a lot of junk stuff and you would have a lot of device management issues and all. Afaria also to a large extent allows you to control a lot of these things. You can control the camera features, you can control a lot of the GPS features if you would want. Incidentally, we have used the camera and the GPS features very well, because whenever he does a daily visit report, we have activated the GPS feature, so you exactly know from which location he is actually put in a daily visit report. Or when a complaint needs to be, when a complaint is getting recorded, we have given the facility to activate the camera. So in case a customer has a wall which is probably flaking or bubbles are there in the wall, he can actually take a photograph and send it along with the complaint. So those are the features which we have used on the device. Coming to the Vodafone thing, we have taken lease lines from Vodafone's Knox and tried to make it a closed user group. We have right now put in 2G SIMs, they're 3G enabled, so once 3G becomes pervasive, we'll move on to the 3G the plan today allows only data computing. So this is how the app looks, snapshot. We have tried to give it a post-it type of a look, wherein post-it typically reminds you of the stuff you have to do. So you see the app here, this is a snapshot of the daily visit reports he has done, the dealer health card, the bank status available. This is the account summary for the dealer. We are trying to give a black background because he moves in the sun, and it should not be a problem when he's actually viewing it under the sun. So we tried with a lot of colors. We thought this was the best combination in terms of the visibility of when you're on the field. So this is how the daily visit report looks like, in terms of you can click on any one of them and further blow up to see the details of the visit. I guess this is something which we've already seen. This is the testimonial video. I don't know whether there is.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think we've already seen this one. I'll skip this. So where are we today? We've today rolled it out. We started the rollouts in April. We have of the 600 guys, we've already finished around close to 350 people as I speak today. The usage has been pretty good. The concurrences, what we had assumed are, we had assumed probably 25 to 30% of the guys would sync at any point of time. And when sync means they need to download information at the beginning of the day, which is largely the sales related information. Today we are seeing of the 350 guys, close to 250, 300 people are synchronizing at the same time. So that's really taken us and SAP by surprise. So we are getting the clustered architecture now getting set up so that it balances the load. Phase 2, we are doing the deployment in 2 phases because we have Afaria, which allows us to deploy apps as we go ahead. So right now we have just stuck to the basic informational dashboard needs in phase 1, and majority of the workflows would come in phase 2. What we are also doing is these set of sales officers report to the unit heads, the regional managers, divisional managers. So we are also trying to get them also on the same ecosystem because they are today on laptops. So we are looking at even developing a sales manager portal for them where they can come in using their own personal devices. So what's so unique about this? I think we are the first customers to go live on SUP 2.1.1. This is the version which has Android support. I guess nobody has tried SAP on an Android tablet, so I think that's where. And the fact that we've integrated with a Google Cloud to device messaging server and we've used an advanced encryption. I think this is the first time anybody has done in this. I don't know whether this part of the world or across the world. We've not heard of any customers, because when we were going about it, when we were running into issues, minor issues, we did not have any reference customer who has tried these things. So what are the benefits? I guess a lot of people are happy with what's got deployed, because now everything is at the fingertip. The guy doesn't need to call the branch office for information, because it's all with him on the tablet. He's able to dealer is pretty happy because his issues get escalated immediately. So whenever there's a product complaint, he just puts in the product complaint, and the contact center will immediately call the dealer's customer, and the workflow takes over. The CRM workflow takes over. But as the complaint is getting resolved, the sales officer has complete visibility to it. So that's a huge plus there. We see a lot of these non-value adding activities getting eliminated. Him traveling all the way to the branch office to fill a visit report or to take a printout, all that has got eliminated. I think now he only needs to go to the branch for a performance discussion or for target setting. So those are the only instances where we see he needs to go to the branch. The quality of interaction with the dealer, which we wanted it to go high, is really improved. Quick feedback from the dealers seems to suggest that they too are pretty happy with DSO having this modern device with him, and trying to resolve all informational leads and transactional leads there itself. So what are the learnings? This was a project which we involved business at the very beginning. We formed a team of business and IT folks. We also had SAP involved in it. Doing this, we got the functionality right at the first time, so we did not have issues like business saying this is not what I wanted. So they took ownership of a lot of it. They were involved in the rollouts as well. So it was as if business was rolling out a solution, IT was playing the back-end role there. SAP's involvement right from the conceptualization stage, because we are early adopters in this, it really helped. A lot of best practices in designing mobile apps really helped. We did it on an Android, using Android SDK, so some best practices of using Android with SUP really helped. Being an adopter had its own, so we had we started off this project even before the support for Android was there. So we had to first develop the front end app, and then once the backend SUP came in place with the Android support, we had to actually work on that part. So it was a pretty tightly managed project wherein a tunnel-based approach was followed. So a lot of stuff in the pipeline now, which we want to take onto the platform. We've got employee apps, function-specific apps, and consumer apps. For employee apps, we have looking at putting a lot of employee workflows onto this. For the function-specific apps, we have done Salesforce automation. We've got a lot of other Salesforce, which looks at institutional sales, Salesforce which looks at interior designer, architects, Salesforce which looks at contractors. So they also have been asking for an app. So those are the areas which we'll be targeting. End consumers, a lot of these end consumers would want to download quick apps like cost calculators, how to calculate cost of paint, locating a dealer, visualizing, taking photograph, putting visualization features to that. For our dealers, and just like a sales officer carries a tablet, we're also looking at apps which our own dealers can download in terms of them having to query for their own account statements, query for just like one goes to a bank, and like banks are having mobile apps. We're trying to give similar apps for our dealers as well. We also have a dealer portal where it's a web-based thing. So some part of those we want to enable on mobile phones. So that's it. I guess in case there are any questions, I can take it up right now.
Deepak, how much time you took?
Yeah, it took us close to around 8 weeks to do it. 8.5 weeks to do it. We started close to around December 15th. That was when support for this was announced. By Feb, we were really done.
So is there any other questions? Okay, thanks.